to A3 and then A4 roll call. Ms. Gray.
Mr. McClellan?
Here.
Mr. Allen is absent. Mrs. Heim?
Here.
Mr. Carl?
Here.
Mrs. Miller is absent.
Cool. Moving on to A5, revisions of the agenda.
Yes, we have. These will be additions to consent agenda. Item E8, personnel report, certified assignments, Kyle Spark, 6th grade English language arts. Resignations, Julie Cook, 6th grade English language arts at Crestview, effective 6/18/25. Kate Johnson, special education applied skills teacher at Salamone, 6/17/25. Teacher at Roanoke, effective 8/4/25. And substitute assignments, Anita Henry, subsecretary at the Administrative Center, 6/23/25. That's all I have, Mr. Wall, as amendments to the agenda.
Do I have a motion to amend the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there any comment, discussion? Gotta get back in the flow. Hearing none, call for a vote. I like this room, except for in the summer because it's hot.
It is that, yeah.
Carries 5-0. Moving on to item B, items from visitors. I had no one sign up, and I don't see anyone in the audience, but this is the time if anyone wants to approach the. On to C.
We do this each time. 5 school year, this is no exception of the extended school year. This comes from Mrs. Husband. Our special ed director is the for extended school year services to those students who qualify under at least one of the reasons listed below. Extended school years are determined during a student's case conference by the individual. These services are provided by the district at no cost to our parents, and transportation will be provided. And she lists Article 7, outline 7 used, and so I'm seeking your approval of extended school year for our students that are in need of this service.
Cool. Is there a motion on the extended school year?
Of extended school year as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Second. Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on, HCCS Impact Institute Memorandum of Understanding.
Yes, the Impact Institute is one of our partners and the Learning Center. There in that memorandum of understanding, what you can see is what our obligations as the Impact Institute are Just to highlight a few of those, provide and administer adult education programs, provide a licensed instructor for programs, provide, so you can see the rest of it there that's going. But this is a very important partner. Your approval of this memorandum of understanding.
Do I have a motion?
The HCCSC and Impact Institute 2025-26 MOU.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Do I have a second? McClellan. Any comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item, and I actually get to speak on this one. So for the rest of the board and the community, the board has spent, I think we started about 2 months ago. We got together with Mr. Trout, kind of went over his goals that we had set forth for him, reviewed those goals with him. Then the board met again at least one other time to go over those reviews. We kind of came up with our presentation of how we thought. The board all kind of looked at that. We did that in an executive session, went through that. Then Tim and I met with Mr. Trout. Actually, I was on a phone call, but Tim met with Mr. Trout, then reviewed that. And we're rating him highly effective as the board, based on based on the review that we have done. And so tonight we bring to the board to make it a public vote to approve that in a public forum, and to also then, based on the contract that he signed when he became superintendent, comes along the lines of having his 3.2% increase, which, if I remember correctly, is what the teachers got last year.
Right. So I'm always a year in behind for whatever turned out to be 3.02%.
Yeah, 3.02.
Yep.
Cool, thank you. So tonight, approving his recommendation for the last school year and moving forward with that. So I'll need a motion to accept the evaluation and the compensation as I discussed, to talk about it tonight. I'm having fun.
I make a motion to approve the superintendent evaluation and compensation as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. McClellan. Any further comments?
Sorry, John, you're stuck with us again.
Yeah, I would just say that Tim and I made a desire to kind of review that process, and I think we have a good process. We're going to try to, even though you're not here, but you may see about it later, we're going to try to meet and do this a little bit more regularly, so it's not as onerous on a time to do that again. And I think that process worked out really well. And again, I appreciate the work that we've done together. So, cool. On that note, anyone else? Hearing none, I'll move for a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Trout, would you like to say anything?
For your support. An enjoyable experience for me, and one in which leading this school district with all of you, I consider a great honor and privilege. And so we have a great team. I believe in this team. I believe in our teachers and our administrators in the district. So I'm excited about the upcoming school year, so thank you.
Cool. Moving on to the consent agenda, items E1 through
we're going to pull out a couple here just to spotlight. Jay, you want to talk about number 9, the corporation nurse? Pat?
Pat, yes. I can, Pat, if you want me to.
No. Yes.
Thank you. So we completed a interview process to replace the school nurse who resigned just before the end of the school year. After our search, we have made the corporation nurse starting on the 14th of July, whatever that first day back is for administrators, on a 215-day contract.
Thank you. Mr. Peters, how about, you want to comment on 11, employment recommendations? How about that?
Yes, we have 18 teachers that we're asking for your approval tonight for kinder camp that will be July 21st. They'll have breakfast and lunch. Always a great time to acclimate our kindergarten students to the day-to-day operations of the school and going through the lunch line and riding a bus. We'd just like to do a shout out to United Way. It's the stipend that teachers will receive is totally funded through the United Way. And so we appreciate their support and materials and supplies Bureau. So we appreciate those two partnerships and the opportunity to have kinder camp.
Thank you, Jay. And Pat, would you want to make a couple comments regarding the National High School Trap Tournament participants there? And I know you have some news also on top of that.
For sure. So I'll start with at the Indiana Gun Club. And one of our students, Wyatt Shockney, finished first in the novice division. So they're placed in divisions based on their scoring average throughout the course of the season. So he was placed in the novice division with 15 or less out of 25. At the state tournament, out of 100 rounds, he hit 80 targets out of 100, and that placed him first. So we've had two state champions in two different divisions the last 2 years. Last year we had Dean Van Ryan in the junior varsity division, and this year we had Wyatt Shockney in the novice division. So moving on to the national trap tournament, based and qualify for the national tournament. It's in Mason, Michigan, about a 2-hour drive from here. And we have two students, Avery Boxell, who had just finished her 8th grade year, and Dean Van Ryan, who just finished his junior year, will be traveling to Mason, Michigan to shoot in the National High School Trap Tournament. It is a 4-day long event. They shoot their practice, and then they go back up for a tournament on Saturday, and if they shoot well on Saturday, they go to the finals on Sunday. So they will be traveling up there with their parents and shooting on behalf of Huntington North High School.
Thank you, Pat. The last two I just want to draw your attention to are 12 and 13, which is the independent contractor agreements with Dr. Mrs. Smith, even though we haven't seen her here physically the last several months, is still actively mentoring, training, teaching Mr. McLaughlin and Mr. Haskell. So her continued support has been invaluable with that. Just so you know, she and I right now have already started the 26 budget process. We are compiling all of that as we speak, so as we get ready to do that here in the next month. Dr. with us in our day-to-day operations. As you know, we have a fairly, and so the supports that she provides, all different aspects of our business department, have been outstanding. I know it's greatly benefited our staff, and they're also greatly appreciative of that also. Lastly, I just want to tell the community again, thank you for your continued donations. This month, it totals $3,166. Mr. Wall, that's all I have.
Cool. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Does anyone want to pull any particular item? Anyone want to comment? I would just comment, if you haven't had a chance to go to a trap session, I wasn't able to make it this year, but last year I was able to and it is a fun time, and they are learning, and Mr. Boxell and Mr. McLaughlin do a great job. This is what, second or third year? Second year, so to have kids place where they have so quickly and to be going to the nationals, I think is a great thing, so kudos to them. Yeah. Anything else? I'm ready for a vote. And the motion carries 5-0. Now, moving on to my favorite. Moving to F1, May 2025 financial reports.
Yes, thank you, Mr. May financials, and we'll start with the education fund. One of the, just as a reminder, benefits make up well over 90% of what is spent from the education fund, which is those individuals that are actually educating our children in the school building. So we pride ourselves in making sure that we're compensating our staff by those budget numbers. And then if you look below the two line graphs, you'll see kind of the summary of where we're at this point. So just over 40% of the year, calendar year, has expired, and the revenue that we've received during that time is just under 41%. But the important part there is we've spent 37% of the 41% that has come in. So we are doing a good job of staying within budget in the education fund. And you can see the revised fund balance there, just over $15 million. Moving on to debt service. As a reminder, we get our property tax payments twice a year, the first one being in June, which we have still not received, much to the consternation of many in my office, as debt service payments are coming due. So we are waiting anxiously for those payments to come in, and you will see that line graph jump dramatically, hopefully, when we present the June financials of what has come in for revenue, and then also what we have expended to pay on our debt. Same is true for operations in terms of where our funding is coming from. Because we have not, again, received any of our tax payments. The little bit that we've received from interest and some other local income taxes is in there, but the main chunk of that $11 million or $20 million budget for this year has not come in yet. So we're hoping and waiting on that for the June financials. The rainy day fund, then you will see that nothing has changed there. We didn't have any budgeted items for the calendar year, and so that account remains at just under $4 million and no current budget appropriations for the rainy day fund. And then the historical comparisons from this time a year ago in the education fund, the cash balance a year ago in May of 24 was just under 13 million, and May of 25 we're at almost $4 million in that fund, and that's an increase, obviously, but also if you'll remember, in April we did the educations to operations transfer of 3.175, so it went down a little bit, but it is back up over 15 million at this current time. And in the operations fund, again, just because that current balance is just under $700,000, but we anticipate that looks good, provided that we get our property tax payment.
Do I have a motion to approve the May 2025 financial report?
make a motion to reports as presented.
Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. I don't have any questions. I'm doing good. You're getting there.
Thank you.
Well, that's right. But we got budget stuff coming up, so get ready.
Yes, right.
Okay, all right.
So what happens if you don't get the from?
Right, yeah. I know what you guys make. I don't think that's going to help much, so. What the obligations are, we could certainly, if we need to make a transfer, we could certainly make another. I did hear conversation today from those in my office, and somebody had reached out to Mrs. Smith, and she said in her career it's only happened one time, so we're hoping this is not number two. So of the collection rate and people paying, so we're hoping that it will continue to trickle in here as the month winds down.
So nor you typically receive it in June. It's just a little bit late.
Yeah, I would say that this is probably a week or 10 days later than we're probably used to getting it, Mr.
Right,
Trout.
yeah, in my experiences through the last decade and a half, so that's why we're coming to you with less than a week to go in the month, a little over that. That's the concern, as you can see what it's doing to our bottom line there. We can if need be,
Right.
so we'll be okay. It's just not what we want to do.
Sure,
So,
sure. Thank you.
I don't know if that call has been made at this point.
I would say if we haven't heard anything by Thursday, call her. She's a former employee.
Yeah.
So she should at least tell you when it should be coming. I would hope to say for some reason it was sent out. Just reach out and touch base with them.
For sure.
So. Cool. We have a motion, a second, so we're ready for a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to F2, budget calendar.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wall. As Mr. Trout said, he has begun to work on the budget with Mrs. Smith for us to look at and to approve tonight. The 26 budget, and if you look, the September 22nd date for the public hearing and the October 13 date for the adoption of the budget. Once we advertise these dates in this timeline, we cannot change those timelines, so we need to make sure that we stick to and follow the outline of the calendar presented and hopefully have everything finalized by the October 13th meeting for the 2026 budget. So, and then would recommend a motion to approve if the board sees fit.
I appreciate Mr. McLaughlin calling out those key important dates, so we only need to make sure that those get on our calendars and have a quorum for those meetings. So, do I have a motion to approve the budget calendar as presented?
I make a motion to approve the budget calendar as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Any comments? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to funding.
Tonight, we're asking for your approval of a memorandum of understanding between Huntington County Community School Corporation and our summer professional development. Teachers are paid an hourly rate of $40 per hour, which turf and taxes will be deducted from that hourly rate. We also pay our classified personnel that come to and attend our professional development. In this memorandum of understanding is where that funding source comes from, and that now will be Title II-A will be the funding source that will be used to cover paying our teachers and our classified staff when they come to summer PD. So we just wanted to bring that to you for your approval this evening.
Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between HCCS and HCTA to pay stipends for summer professional development.
Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Any comments? I do want to appreciate the staff that have come in for those trainings. I know they're a busy time, and I'm glad that we were able to get them some funds for that. And I document it correctly and get them from the proper funds. So, hearing no further comments, I'll call for a vote. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to Mann 401A, 403. Bluffton, I believe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wall. So some of you may remember some issues that we've had in the past with and 403B plans for our employees. The 401A is the plan that the school corporation contributes to for each employee. Employees then can choose to contribute additional funds to a 403B. We had some issues with Corbridge and getting those deposits to the appropriate accounts, and another vendor for our 401A and 403B. I provided a transition plan. So Travis Schumann is our representative from Horace, Mann, and they would do the transition management of all of our 401As. Because the school corporation to sign off on transferring their 401As from Corbridge to Horace Mann. So that will be a seamless transition that Horace Mann will navigate for us through Corbridge. And then the 403Bs, staff members then can choose to roll their 403B from Corbridge to Horace Mann if they choose. They don't have to, but they certainly are able to. But if they to the Corbridge 403B, so they would have to open a new 403B and contribute to that through Horace Mann. They have all the same products for our employees to pick from, whether it's a Roth or a traditional 403B plan. There are no fees for them to switch. There are no tax penalties because they're not withdrawing the money, they're just rolling it over. And then the fees that are charged for the investment advice and services of the 403B are much lower than what we're currently getting from Corbridge. And so our timeline care of between August 4th and the 12th of September. Once the board approves, then we can let Horace Mann know, and they will reach out to Corbridge to start that transition process. The 403Bs are a little bit easier than the 401As because those are employee controlled in terms of getting Corbridge to release that. So it'll just be a matter of the timeline from Corbridge to transition all those 401As. But once we get that date, those contributions to Corbridge will stop to the 401A and immediately go to the 401A of Horace Mann, and they won't lose any deposits, and that rollover will go into their account. So I would recommend approving this transition plan from Corbridge to Horace Mann.
Is there a motion?
A403B transition plan as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Comments or questions? Mann or HR be reaching out to the 403B individuals to get any new paperwork signed up and all that?
Yeah, so we have already made arrangements for Mr. Schuman to attend the opening day teacher breakfast to put in. He will work with each building individually to get in and meet with people that want to transition those plans from Corbridge to Horace Mann. There's roughly about 400 employees.
Is that teachers and staff, or is that mostly teachers?
Mostly teachers.
Okay. Any other?
And you have been working with a surprise to them.
That is correct. I met with the three co-presidents or tri-presidents and explained this to them in the process. I also set up a Zoom call with Travis and the three presidents, and they were all in favor of moving forward. They like the thought of lower fees on the money that's deposited and taken from them for the investment advice. So yes, they are on board. Thank you, Mr. Trout.
And I just like the fact that additional program benefits like the workshops and the forgiveness and the appreciation. So I appreciate that. So. Hearing none, I'll call for our vote. I look down that way, and I can only when Matt leans forward do I get to see Jay over there. I forget he's there half the time. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to H5.
For your approval this evening for the 25 to 29 school year Fairbanks Educational Services with the Indiana MAC participation. To say they assist us with our reimbursement for Medicare or Medicaid, excuse me. And so we, to meet the new requirement, because Fairbanks is now requires this participation agreement, which is in your board packet for us. But these are students who are eligible for Medicaid, and they assist us in that process for reimbursement then. So I'm recommending your approval of this participation agreement.
Is there a motion?
5 through 2029 Fairbanks Educational Services LLC and HCCS agreement for Indiana MAC participation.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. McCollum. Any comments? Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to F6, property. Mr. McLaughlin.
Yes, Mr. Wall, Mr. Trout has a process for our property and casualty insurance. So I spoke with Dan Free from Insurance Audit on Monday, a week ago, to go over the timeline to establish that timeline. You have a copy of that timeline, which I'm recommending for approval this evening so that we can move further with this process. So we have the timeline for Insurance Audit to prepare a letter, the rules and the process that will be used. They will have a week to get Indiana Insurance Audit the market choices, so who they would like to bid from. in the insurance industry. Some of you may be familiar with this. Once one company reaches out to a bidder or to an insurer, quote anyone else. So they will submit their 3 top recommendations of which companies they would like to solicit bids from. And then if there are multiple companies that are trying to use the same insurance company to get a quote from, then they will assign those through a random draw, and then they will bidding and tell them who they can get the quote from, and then they will compile all that data and put it in a spreadsheet and make a recommendation of, based on the specifications and what was called for in the bids, who they would recommend. But we will have all that information. Obviously, it would still be our choice, but they will provide their professional recommendation based on the specifications and other factors in that. So then those proposals would be due back to us by the 29th of September. They'll present us with the analysis on the 15th of October, and then we would make our recommendation for our insurance vendor for property and casualty insurance on the 27th, and the effective date of coverage would start December 1st, which is our current renewal timeline. They did also provide us with a advertisement template to put in the local newspaper as an advertisement to bidders. We have been contacted by a handful of prospective bidders already, and they're just waiting for this information. But much like we do when we do projects, we'll post it on our website as well for those that maybe haven't reached out to get as many bids as possible for some healthy competition in our property and casualty insurance proposals.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. And that, I don't see it as an action item. Do you need a vote on that, or is it just board information?
Approved the agreement with insurance audit last meeting. So
This is just,
This is just to
Informational.
give you an update on where we're at. A couple of you have asked, and so I just want to make sure you got an update on that.
no, I appreciate it, and I appreciate getting all that information. Policies.
Yes, this is our second reading for the policies listed in volume 36, number 2, plus administrative guidelines and EDGAR also, administrative guidelines in volume 37, number 1. I draw your attention to this because as of the second reading, this makes us current. How does our board policies impact, how will they be impacted with all the new legislative changes? And I would say stay tuned. Cindy and I are working through those as we speak. The list is about as long as this list is here, but this will make us current with all our board policies upon your approval this evening, so thank you.
Do we need to, not associate policies that come into effect July 1st, do we need to have those done before school, or is there a little wiggle room?
Those that we've been working directly with Neola and their representatives.
And ISBA is sending stuff out too, and some of this stuff is still waiting for
Yes, some of this,
DOE to come out with information too.
some of this, quite frankly, we can't even begin to write policy on because the IDOE hasn't had time and sufficient time to piggyback off of that process.
So what you're saying is more policy to come.
More policy come. Cindy Gray and John Trout are currently halfway through the ones that we are able to update. Hope to get those to you July, maybe August for sure.
Well, we only
Okay?
have one meeting in July, so
Okay,
at
so
least we'll at least see the first draft, and
Yes,
we'll
so
go from there.
You'll go from there. So,
Cool.
Thank
Do
you.
I have a do I have a motion to approve the policies as presented?
Motion to volume 36, number 2, EDGAR, GG, and volume 37, number 1, policy updates as presented.
Thank you, Mr. Melcher. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mrs. Himes. Anyone else have anything? Hearing none, I'll call. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to 8. Tomorrow, I'm headed down to Indianapolis for the budget seminar that ISBA and some other one else puts on. Big topics are related to Senate Bill 1 and how it's going to affect everything. And here, we think we know what's going to happen, but we're not sure. So I don't envy Mr. Trout, Mr. McLaughlin, and Mrs. Smith working on the budget. Any great information, I will share it with you as well. But yeah, fun. Anyone else have anything? Moving on for adjournment. Thank you, Ms. Himes. Mr. Melcher, thank you. All in favor?